Hello, today we want to answer 6 questions that we get on a regular basis about having adopted 2 beautiful children. First one that we get quite regularly is, are all those kids yours?
Yes, people like to emphasize that all.
We have 5, and I usually respond, yes, I'm very aware I have a litter.
Yeah. My favorite response is, well, they didn't start out as ours, but they all are now, or something like that.
I love that response.
Yeah, it's along with that, there's a lot of judgment in that question a lot of times, and you can feel it, especially depending on where you go in the world, where you live. Some people just are not okay with
a lot of children,
a lot of kids, and it can actually be really hard as parents who like to adopt and take care of kids. You
feel the judgment.
Yeah,
it can be hard. Another question we get quite regularly is, are they from the same parents? Are they biological siblings? And ours are. Some people have several foster kids that are from all different families. But ours happen to be biological, yes. Which I feel like was a blessing because they had each other. And that was one thing that could stay the same for them, because so many things changed in their world when they became foster kids. The one constant they had was their sibling, and that was a blessing for sure.
The next one is, why were they in the system? I actually don't forget this question.
You don't?
Yeah, people ask you this?
All the time, yeah. And I would say like 90%, my guess, the reason kids are in the system in the first place is drugs is like a huge reason for abuse, neglect, and an unsafe environment for kids.
And that's how the parents get caught.
Yeah.
Because of drug abuse. Mm-hmm. Although it could be any number of reasons why they should be in the system.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Another question we get is, do you have an open adoption, and do you get to pick if it's an open adoption? Sometimes the bio parents will put in a stipulation that it must be open in order for them to consent there.
Yeah, to make it easier, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's a little bit of a bargaining chip in the
court system.
The relinquishing of rights. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to answer that question, we have a semi-open relationship with the biological parents. They can text us anytime they want.
Yep.
And the ball's mostly in our court and deciding if and when we have communication.
We keep them updated, send them photos. But communication with the kids has been pretty limited.
Right.
The 5th question is, do they have behavioral problems? Which is, every child has behavioral issues. Yes, we all
Everybody
have.
has issues.
But yes, they definitely came with some really hard things.
But they are doing really well. Time does heal a lot. I remember a therapist saying, when you have them, as long as they were without you, is when you really start to see a lot of progress. And I have seen so much progress. It's been 3 years, and I've just seen tremendous progress.
Yeah.
So I think time heals quite a bit.
So what are some of those behavioral issues, just really quickly?
Yeah. So some of the behavioral problems, signs of trauma, like PTSD. So PTSD can look like anxiety, ADHD, bedwetting, behavioral problems like tantruming, and sometimes sensory. They look like they might have sensory problems because they had a lack of sensory experiences. So
relationship with food, attachment,
right,
problems. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a big list, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing they can't handle.
Yeah,
they're tough kids.
Nothing that they can't overcome.
That's right.
Yeah, they are tough kids. So the last one is not necessarily a question, but more of a statement that I hear quite frequently, and that is, I could never do that. I could never have my foster kids taken away. I could never have kids in my home and then fall in love with them and then say goodbye.
That's right.
And it's true. That's a really hard thing to do, and something we haven't had to do or experience. So...
But the fear was always there.
Right.
I think this answer is a little bit different for each of us. For me, I took the attitude, and this really helped me, the attitude of I'm just going to give everything I can in the time I have with them and prepare them as much as I can for life. So if when they're taken away, they'll look back at the time I had with them with good memories, with modeling as good a behavior as possible to get just a little bit better of a life and a future. Really, that's the only way I could look at it to not be too sad about the potential. How did you deal with that?
I think I did the same thing. I looked at it as an opportunity to serve, and I think I held back a little bit with my love. I don't think it was the same level of love that I had for my kids. I think I withheld it a little bit because of that fear of getting my heart broken.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So the day that we got to tell them that we're adopting them, I felt like walls just came down and I could just love them like my own because I knew they were going to be.
Yeah.
So we've never had to say goodbye to a foster child. We can only imagine that it would be horrible and so painful and awful. I look at it as like when you become a foster parent and you foster a child, that you take on a piece of the pain. The kind of pain that you experience on their behalf is taking on and taking that risk of losing them. You are helping them by taking a brick out of their backpack of their load of trials and actually just tasting and experiencing some of their pain and helping them carry their load. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, you got to switch that view a little bit. It's not about your potential for your fear of pain and loss,
right,
but the anxiousness and willingness to serve someone, even if it's just for a short time.
Right.
So those are 5 questions, one statement we hear quite a bit, and hopefully you found that helpful in some way. If you have other questions, we welcome them below. In the future, we'll probably dig even deeper into some of these topics, so we hope you'll hang out with us, subscribe, and all of that.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.